Hi guys, it's April, and I thought now would be a perfect time to start thinking about what I want to accomplish in 2020. I know that 2019 isn't over yet, but before 2020 starts, I really wanted to sit down and sort of walk through what I am hoping to do with this channel in my reading life and in my coloring life, because I always like to move forward. I like to feel like I'm making strides towards something. So I'm going to attempt to do that. Every single year since I have started, and I've done these goal videos, I've always started out with my Goodreads goal. Mainly because that is almost the standard in the reading community of how you want to progress in the coming year. Now each year I have thoroughly sat down and thought about where I wanted to set my number according to what I saw happening throughout the year. But I've gotten to the point where I have a general feel of usually where I end up in my reading that I don't want to push myself too far, but I don't want to underestimate myself. And the fact that I just like pretty looking numbers. And so this year I am going to leave my reading goal as it is. I'm going to try once again for 130 books. Now for those of you who are like, how is that a pretty number? It contains the number 13. It's as simple as that. It's 13 with a 0 at the end. And I know I can hit it. And of course I'll probably have a stretch goal of 200 books. I've only ever hit that goal twice in the last 5-6 years, but I like to have it there so that it's not something that I feel like beating myself up over, but I do like the fact that I have something else that I can kind of push myself towards. Another thing that I want to do for this channel specifically, that as I grow and I continue to create these videos and understanding editing and lighting and creating that way, is I want to be more inclusive. So I'm going to try, bear with me as I slowly weed my way through this, I'm going to try and closed caption every single one of my videos. This is a little daunting for me. It's something that's way outside my comfort zone because I am not one who really enjoys writing. I don't like spelling, mostly because spelling is and sentence structure. I'm a rambler, so when I'm captioning these kind of videos, it's kind of awkward. So at the very beginning, I'm going to start out by using the YouTube generated captions and going through and correcting those. So my captions might seem a little awkward, but they're there, and hopefully it will help some people who are maybe not English speakers or who are hearing impaired to grab my content and maybe find use from it. My next goal, I'm not sure, this one is not fully formed in my brain yet, but my next goal is to bring in more DIYs. I have noticed that I've really enjoyed getting back into the crafting side and the creating side of my life, and especially with the explosion of my Book Rose video that seems to have happened this year. I have no idea what that was about, but with all of that and all the excitement around those kind of paper DIYs and book DIYs, I want to see if I can bring more of that into my channel. I don't know exactly what kind of projects that I want to do. There might be some book defacings, there might be some more paper page craft kind of ideas, but I think I want to do some more of those DIYs just because I enjoy doing that and I love sharing that kind of thing, and that's kind of video that has a life and has a conversation, because I get a lot of questions on those kind of videos that ask, how do I do this? What if I want to do that? And it just really makes me excited, which is why a couple years ago I started getting into coloring as well, is because of that crafting mindset and just the exchange of ideas that way. And I think with it involving books in some way, shape, or fashion, I figured you guys would enjoy that as well. Maybe I'll throw in some bookmark creating and that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm throwing ideas out into the universe. If you guys have any ideas of what you think would be cool in that kind of aspect, I'm totally open to that. And since I'm kind of talking about that creative stuff, my coloring has not quite been going the way that I've wanted it to go. I've had a few struggles, so I'm gonna try and get back into that world as well. I want to do more coloring, not necessarily recording during the live streams, but maybe some coloring outside of that. There's something missing in my creative life right now. I've gone through this really weird slump in my life where I want to get back into the joy of that kind of stuff. So you will possibly be seeing more coloring and more crafting, but all of it is going to be related to books. I promise. My reading is still gonna be here. I'm still gonna have those standard reading videos. I'm thinking about doing one of my most loved to watch kind of videos, and that is releases, new releases, keeping track of new releases. I have started a Google Doc that I will share the link to down below if you're interested, where I'm gonna try and keep track of that and then maybe do monthly videos where I talk about upcoming releases, what I'm excited about, just so I can keep that excitement about reading up there. A lot of times I'm very much a mood reader, and sometimes I have to get myself into the mood, and I think keeping track of these new releases will get me that way. I can't guarantee I will read these new releases because I still have a goal of bringing down my to be read. This seems to be my goal every year. I'm hoping to get that number under or around 200, because as I have checked my physical to be read list, it's at 300 right now. I seem to fluctuate between 250 and 300. That is usually the range my to be read sits in, which in the grand scheme of things is not that bad. It's about 10% of the books I own. So grand scheme, it isn't that bad, and I have the propensity to read at least 170 books a year. So technically, if I read 100 books and it's only 70 new things coming in and I read those as they come in, then I should get it to about that 200 mark. But we'll see what happens. Things like the library book sale kind of throw those numbers off just a little bit. I know that I just threw out the fact that I want to bring down my physical TBR. I want to bring it down. I slowly want to dwindle that down at some point. I would love for it to be under 100 or in the single digits. That's going to take a couple of years. But I also want to possibly think about getting into NetGalley. NetGalley is something that I've heard a lot about. I've seen a lot of people reference. I've seen people get review copies from NetGalley. It's something that I'm thinking about looking into. I know it is a time requirement, which is why I am tentatively putting that out there, because like I said, I want to do a lot of things. I always want to do a lot of things in the new year. I want to get more coloring. I want to get more DIYs. I want to get my TBR down. I want to possibly review new books. My thought process behind this is I want to get excited about these new books. I want to possibly get ARCs or as a release of these new books, and I figure I can mesh those two things together. I have to look into NetGalley. So this is a goal with an asterisk on it that says maybe. I feel like sitting down and doing these goal videos are sometimes just me planning and dreaming, so that is why I'm okay with putting goals out there that might not be reached. I need to strive for something. That is my thought process. And last but not least, I want to talk about events. I'm a very introverted person, so for the last couple of years, I have put out a goal of going to one bookish event, and finally that ended up being BookNet Fest. But with me going to BookNet Fest, I decided that each year I want to continue to go to one event on my list, but I want it to be a different event. What this event is, I'm not going to quite pin down quite yet. It's just as long as it is a community event that isn't necessarily BookNet Fest, but something that makes me go out into the world and interact with people, because I need to do more of the socializing kind of things. So I'm going to have that as a goal. One event. Will it happen? I hope so. So as you can see, I have a lot of lofty goals for 2020. It's good to be optimistic going into the new year. We'll see where I'm at come the mid-year. Maybe I'll have to adjust some things, but if you're not gonna go big, what are you gonna do? Tell me down below what one small or big goal you have for 2020 is. And if you would like to see my face every time I upload, subscribe down below, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.